Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Sophia, and today we'll be talking about Mrigashira Nakshatra, one of my favorite nakshatras. So get ready, because there's a lot to cover. So the location for Mrigashira in the sky is 23 degrees 20 minutes of Taurus and 6 degrees and 40 minutes of Gemini. When the universe formed, all energy from our central black hole projected outward into the simulation that we know as life. But what was meant to be a rolling film was in fact a still image with no moving parts. That was not good enough. So how do you create a film? You stack the frames in front of each other so they look like they are moving. In other words, you create the illusion of passing time. Mrigashira Nakshatra people are propellers of the function of time. And in simpler terms, if you understand the deer in the forest, the animal, you will master this energy. Writing for this nakshatra was very complex because it was deceptively simple to write for, and yet there was nothing simple about it. The deity that rules over this constellation is Soma, also known as the moon god. Soma is the sticky fluid found inside of plants that forms the channels necessary for photosynthesis. It is also offered in temples to deities in prayer. The symbol of this nakshatra is a deer, the animal. And also a lesser-known symbol is a snake. The natives are ruled by the planet Mars, and located somewhere between Taurus and Gemini, the nakshatra falls within the constellation of Orion, the great hunter of our skies, of which the main star ruling Mrigashira is called Bellatrix. So let's understand the characteristics of Mrigashirans. Mrigashirans are playful creatures. They love the game of hide and seek. Just like a deer in the woods, they are constantly seeking resources for survival. Foraging for food makes for a major part of their search, because so many are searching for the same resources. Natives become extremely flighty with the slightest sign of danger. But once they have found their footing, they make big goals and go after them with all they have gathered. This makes them excellent businessmen. Natives can be affluent and accumulate much wealth in their lifetimes because they have skills to keep multiple sources of income flowing towards them. But in modern times, accumulating wealth is a tricky business because what skills have you got is the main question. Mrigashirans make for great salespeople and are often media geniuses. They can be bloggers, influencers, editors, graphic designers, directors, producers, and anything that needs a touch of technical skill can be mastered by them in a flash. They are great at execution too, and not just talking big. However, the problem arises when they need to settle on a goal, because they can have their fingers in too many pies and often fail to realize that multitasking is good for no one. But there is one thing that drives them, and that is the quest for meaning. This problem begins with an age-old quest to find meaning in their lives, because much like the deer, Mrigashirans are peaceful creatures. When there is too much noise in their head, they tend to flee from the chaos, and this makes for an interesting mix for impulsive behavior wrapped in unwanted mistakes. And so the seeking does continue on. If you haven't already guessed, the purpose of this nakshatra is to seek. By constantly searching for something and creating the illusion of time passing, they can fulfill their destiny and find the nectar of immortality. But irony here is lost on them. This energy is really complex because the secret of this nakshatra lies in the combination of the energies that form it, which belong to the Moon, Venus, Mercury, and Mars, and they lay the foundation for a unique combination of manifestations. Constantly waxing and waning, the Moon makes them restless, emotional beings who form relationships rather too quickly. The Venusian side makes them romantic, materially driven, and they're beings who are sure to find or experience affluence in their lifetimes. The Mercurian side gives them many friends. They also have a lot of skills and business acumen, but they may also experience choice paralysis with all these paths to take. The Martian side gives them the boost to execute their plans. However, do not mistake this Martian energy for conquest. These natives do not initiate confrontation. Their flight instinct is sharper than their fight. They are capable of escaping you as if you never existed in the first place. So natives from the Bellatrix star, which is the main fixed star associated with this nakshatra, are attractive like the doe, with slender, athletic bodies and narrow faces and rather magnificent eyes. They are elegant in appearance, they laugh easily and are easy to get along with. They can also easily relate to people around them and have a comforting presence. They're great at sensing a change in your emotional state. It's as if they are smelling your pheromones, much like an animal that's acutely attuned to its environment. At home, Mrigashirans are always foraging for food. The smellier the food, the tastier it is to them. So for example, stale pizzas, blue cheese, and the ones that have, foods that have marinated for a long time are most appealing to them. They are looking to indulge their senses. They enjoy wearing really strong perfumes, anything that has a very attractive fragrance, and they are attracted to aromatherapy as well. They also have a supercharged mind. They're constantly in their heads, and this can cause them to have sleep issues. Their shadow manifests when their internal sensitivity adopts a weighing scale of comparison to the world around them. The best way to keep up their self-worth is not to let themselves be misguided by others. They're primed for influence, and this can lead to their downfall as well, something to bear in mind. Developing discernment is an important remedy here. But herd mentality is hardwired into their subconscious mind because of that deer-seeking nature. This is where matters of individuality can take a challenging turn. And so the seeking does continue on. The secrets of Bellatrix. Bellatrix is considered one of the more difficult stars in the constellation of Orion. Orion is a mix of the good, the bad, and the ugly. But there is a lid for every pot in Orion. Bellatrix's involvement in many Orion wars has given it a rather unpleasant history, which is now changing into a more benevolent state of affairs. From a snake-like approach to one for the deer, the long-standing reptilian past is starting to take on a spiritual bent. But with the star's full power on this nakshatra, some difficult aspects of their history can in fact manifest. The purpose of this star is moksha, or liberation, and that can be bizarre and surprising to a lot of people who hear about it. The second half of this nakshatra, which falls in Gemini, is ruled by Mercury and Mars, and that's where Bellatrix shines. With a cutting intellect, it can accomplish tasks when it chooses single-minded focus. But it can be an uphill battle to get there. Orion starseeds first appeared on Earth around the 60s. It's the baby boomer generation that really started this and kicked it off. Much has been written about the fallout from the World War II and the industrial culture and then the counterculture that followed. Today they are healing their differences. These starseeds are here to support the new age with wisdom gained from all the chaos. Their lineage is all the better for it. Younger beings with this alignment are unique individuals who shine wherever they go. Natives of the star can dress up to show their status, but through subterfuge. So let's now understand the social and relationship dynamics associated with this nakshatra. They enjoy the company of others and travel in herds like the deer. They can be highly diplomatic if they choose. However, mostly they have a secretive nature to them that doesn't unfold publicly with ease. One needs to initiate tactfully with these beings or risk spooking them. There is an inherent defensiveness to them as the hunt for resources is their primary goal. This sort of behavior leads to lack of trust within their relationships and can create trouble in long-standing marriages. But with enough space and some understanding, these natives become less guarded. These individuals can have unrealistic expectations in love and seek traits in people that do not exist. With everything, the natives must realize that gods have two sides to themselves as well. Gods can be benevolent as life-giving milk, and as violent as the void of the black hole. They must learn that people never show up as one needs them to be. And if they realize this sooner rather than later, the natives will see this duality within themselves also, where they go from the gentleness of the deer to being downright attacking when triggered. Once the herd mentality is curbed, Mrigashirans discover that they are natural leaders, and yet they often work best within groups. Prominent planets in this nakshatra can indicate a difficulty in their spiritual path, as there can be many ups and downs in their journeys. But they won't find the nectar of immortality if they never settle down long enough for it to manifest. Because the true nectar, after all, is within and not without. So what is the ultimate meaning of this constellation? What these individuals are really wanting isn't so much the elixir of life or the fountain of youth. They're looking for purpose. And yet, the greatest joy of life is discovering that there is absolutely no meaning in the universe. We all are simply playing roles in this giant simulation, making for big and small characters in a movie. Whether you play your role well or not makes no difference at all. You'll get recycled right back into the system and have to try again. Rinse and repeat. But when a Mrigashiran individual finds their unique role to play in this brief timeline, it gives them the illusion of time passing by really quickly. And when time passes fast enough, it seems like it stops into a singularity. This is the true nectar that every spiritual seeker has ever wanted. One that comes from the removal of illusion, and one that is permanent. So I hope that you enjoyed this podcast on Mrigashira today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.